Hi, I'm Professor Gary Feinberg. I'll be teaching the Jazz History course, the Winter Blended session that you're enrolled in, and I thought I would take a few moments to introduce myself and to put a face actually to the name and to the emails and the blogging that we'll do subsequent to our first actual face-to-face class meeting on January 3rd. A little bit about myself and my background in the field of jazz and jazz history. I am a trumpet player. I have played jazz and all kinds of music all around the world, and I've played jazz in small groups and large groups. I began teaching jazz as a class in the early 1990s when I was director of jazz ensembles at Carnegie Mellon University. I received my PhD in ethnomusicology in nearby University of Pittsburgh, where my main study was in jazz history. And I came to the College of New Jersey in 2001 as the jazz band director, teaching jazz history here as well, and teaching other performance and brass related courses. In nearly 20 years of teaching jazz history, the whole field of teaching and also the field of jazz history has really transformed a lot. I began teaching large lectures at the University of Pittsburgh of 400 plus students. And it was very much the sage on stage, although at that point I can't really say that I was much of a sage. But over the years, with the introduction of technology, particularly CDs and iPods and YouTube, and now, of course, all the technology that we're going to be using in this course to deliver the course asynchronously, the whole field has really changed. My goal here in this course is to become the guide on the side. This is a concept that's new to me. I actually taught my first blended course was last summer. This winter is even more intense because there's less time of us being together. So I feel on one hand that I'm prepared to deliver an interesting course, a viable course in this format. But some of this technology for me is new, and I'm really very much excited for the opportunity to transform my own abilities as a guide on the side. One of the really interesting aspects of this course, which in my experience has really evolved over the years, is the ability for students to study music independently. That is to say that you can listen to recordings and not just listen to them, but you can engage in exercises to help you study and to really examine and analyze the music. I say this has evolved because when I first began teaching jazz history, students only had the ability to listen to specific music jazz examples by lining up in the library and waiting for the librarian to hand out recordings on vinyl, which was a terrible way to really study music. As time has gone by, though, we have had CDs and we've had MP3s, and now the coursework itself is designed with a module that will allow you to actually study the music and do exercises in your own time to really learn about how the music is put together. One of my goals for this course, an informal goal, not one that you'll find in the syllabus, is what I call the mall test. And the mall test is simply this. A student who has taken this course enters a mall, hears music, and as they get to the center court of the mall, they see that there's a jazz group playing. What can that student discern strictly from musical evidence about what is going on stage? How does the music work together? How do the different musicians fulfill specific roles? What is the content of the music? What are the musical elements that come together for certain effects? And how do these things relate to where the music was formed? How does it relate to the innovators and the great figures in jazz history who pioneered some of the ideas and some of the concepts? And how does this relate to the historical circumstances and pressures under which these ideas were formulated and matured? The idea being that just by simply seeing a group playing and based on musical evidence, that one can know a lot about the music, but not just about the music, but about all the forces that created this music, and at the same time understand how music such as this has a long history of reflecting and being a part of our culture. And finally, get busy. Do the readings in the textbook and take the practice quizzes and familiarize yourself with the story of jazz that's in the book. But most importantly, spend time and be patient with the listening examples. I know that for many students who have never done this before, the task of having to answer questions and make specific comments about the structure and content of music is something that is very anxiety causing, and that you've never done it before, and it seems like it's something you can't do. However, if you're patient with the examples, both listening to the examples while using the interactive listening guides, which give you some prompts as to what's going on in music, as well as just familiarizing yourself with musical examples by listening to them, will really be instrumental in your ability to be able to analyze the music and talk about the structure of the music, having only been given the sound of the music as your evidence. Most of these music examples are pretty short, so you can listen to them over and over again in a short amount of time. But most importantly, be patient. Listen to the music, some of the concepts that are in the music, some of which are explained in the interactive listening guides, and some of them which are not, will become apparent. And the connection between musical concepts and musical ideas from one example to the next will begin to become apparent. This is really the fun part of studying music, the ability to see how music that could be very on its surface can be very different from other examples is actually connected in very sometimes subtle and sometimes very surprising ways. So be patient with the music and enjoy.